So today I'm going to be telling you about the International Space Station that's in orbit. So in the first one, what you want to know is that the most important thing is this that helps power the station are the solar arrays. Also, they turn. So let's say, for example, the sun's facing over here. So these panels would rotate here so that they get energy from the sun because the sun's facing over there. So once the solar panels have done that job, they'll stay until the sun position changes and they have to follow it. And the ISS, or the station, is in low Earth orbit. So it's like kind of like the first orbit. It's the second name of an orbit you would find if you're looking at an orbital map. The first one you would find is a parking orbit. Parking orbit is where you get in that orbit when you're going to go into the moon. Where you stay in the orbit for 2 hours, then you go to the moon. Well, more on that later. So the next thing is that the one that keeps the station crewed with astronauts are the two crewed vehicles. So here's a space shuttle. That was the first one. And that it also helped to bring the segments up for the station. That's the one that also brings up crew and cargo. The second is this Soyuz one. So the Soyuz also docks with the station like the shuttle does, but one thing it couldn't do is that it couldn't bring up big things. It could just bring up cargo, maybe some science experiments and stuff. And then to keep the station supplied with food and water and all those normal daily stuff are resupplied. So what I have right now attached to a thing called the Canadarm2, which was made by Canada. So it grapples on the spacecraft like this, and it will pull it up from underneath the station. For example, my hand is a craft. That arm will go down, and then there's going to be this grapple fixture on here that's going to be on, and then it's going to pull it up to the docking port. And also, let's say that this docking port is occupied by the shuttle and there's a crewed vehicle coming. So that's where the Russians help with it. So here's their Soyuz vehicle, and here is another docking port. This is where the Soyuz will dock if one port has been occupied. So then it will dock, and then you have enough to that. And also, this is not where they can go. This is called the integrated truss structure. That is the integrated truss structure that came up by the U.S. And part of the integrated truss structure was the solar arrays. And then more on that later. So the space agencies that helped build the station were NASA, JAXA, ESA, CSA, and Roscosmos. And for the station to take one complete orbit or circle around the Earth, it takes 93 minutes. And then the US components are the solar arrays, the integrated truss structure, and the module names are Destiny, and then Unity, and then the Russian segment has the module Zarya and Zvezda, the first two to get up into orbit. Then ESA made the cupola, which you'll see here in a few. So here is the cupola. Then Harmony was built by ESA too. And then Tranquility and Leonardo were also built by ESA. Then JAXA built Kibo, which is over here. This full segment is Kibo, and also this is a place where astronauts can do spacewalks and do science here. Then CSA made the Canadarm2 here, but what is not on here is the arm Dexter that was also built by Canada, and the Canadarm2 can grapple onto Dexter like right now, but this is not Dexter. So it can Canadarm2 can grapple on to Dexter, and the Dexter arm can also do the same things that the Canadarm can do, but Dexter is the size of this pole, so it's tinier than the Canadarm2, but it's also effective. What these astronauts are doing, you see, here's one mini astronaut, here's another on here. Those three are doing spacewalks. Spacewalks are like where they fix something on. For example, if they had to replace a battery in one of the solar arrays that keeps the batteries help move the solar arrays and give it power. So then they would go in and do some sort of thing, take out the old battery and place in a new one. So Chris Cassidy is one of the astronauts, but he's not on here. He is on here right now. And also Russ Ions is also on there with Tim, and also another astronaut who also came along. So they came up in the Soyuz vehicle, this one right here. So they came up in the Soyuz vehicle, and before this, when the Soyuz was there, the shuttle was also there. Well, the Soyuz is way older than the shuttle. The shuttle was used for the shuttle was there for 3 decades or 30 years before it got retired in 2011. It started in 1981 and ended in 2011. And the shuttle is the only one that the U.S. could use to get U.S. astronauts into orbit from the U.S. But after that retired, they had to ground the shuttle since they had already retired it. So for 9 years, it wasn't until, this is Dragon 1, the first Dragon from SpaceX. This resupplies, but then a different version of Dragon came up just a few months ago and docked with the station, bringing the first 2 astronauts onto the station since the retirement of the shuttle in 2011. Well, that doesn't mean that no U.S. astronaut has been into space. It's just that the Soyuz was only able to get it into U.S. and Russian astronauts and cosmonauts into orbit. And also SpaceX helped NASA bring back people to the station, and the mission name was SpaceX Demo 2. Demo 2 was the second demonstration flight SpaceX had for the Dragon. their Dragon 2. This is Dragon 1. So that and Dragon 1 resupplied the station. Dragon 2, just a few months ago, got crew back to the station. But also, a few weeks ago, it brought those two astronauts, Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken, back down to Earth from the station, making the first crewed ocean landing, otherwise known as splashdown, happening since the Apollo program ended over into 1972. Radiator panels help remove excess heat. So when heat forms in it, the radiator panel's job is to get the heat out into space. Also, here's a gross fact about the station. The water, the toilet water that has their pee and poop just has a little bit of processing, and then it goes back into the drinking water. So they don't, like when these ships come up, they don't bring up the water. They do bring up extra drinking water packets full of, not empty. The astronaut's job is to fill them up when they're thirsty for a drink. So that is what I think about the disgusting of the station, that the water they use for their like normal daily things like going to the bathroom, that water actually gets processed, not recycled, and that water gets processed and goes straight into the drinking water. And astronauts do that daily for 6 months, or if in the shuttle's case, 2 weeks, which is pretty disgusting. And also, a few things I like about the station is that how you can float around, and also one fun thing is that you can do flips in it. So that's it for me. Bye. See you next time. Bye.